Hey guys, Ben from Snowy's here today with an Oztent accessory for your RV tent, the mesh floor savers. Now these are made with a woven synthetic mesh that allows moisture and dirt to fall through and gives you protection from the hard ground underneath. On particularly wet ground you might get a bit of moisture coming up through, but it gives you pretty good protection. It does have a reinforced edging around here and eyelets around the edges as well for extra pegs. Now these cover the whole floor plan of your tent, so it goes right underneath the tent at the back here, and it covers the whole space of your awning. It goes out as far as your awning would if it was set up in a flat manner, not peaked like this one. So because the RV one is set up peaked here, the awning actually finishes just short of the end here. I've got the 2, 3 and 4 set up on the other side of me here. The end of those awnings finish level with the mesh floor savers because they're set up in a flat manner. If we put the peak side panels in there, the end of that awning will move back a little bit. Now I've got the RV5 over here. I'm going to set this up for you and show you how to do it. Now I've got the floor saver here. This is the RV5 tent in front of me. So it is an accessory that packs separately. Now when they're in their bag here, it's an oversized bag, but it's about 50 to 55 centimeters long and about 20 centimeters in diameter. And each of them weighs in at about 3 kilos. Inside the bag, you get the mesh floor saver and a few pegs, pretty straightforward. And the first thing we need to do to set it up is move the tent aside and lay the floor saver out. And there's nothing overly technical about setting up the floor saver. It is just a ground sheet. From here we could stick pegs in the corners if we wanted to keep it in place. I'm just going to set the tent straight up on top and put the pegs in later. Now there is a right orientation to the floor saver. Oztent have got logos on the front 2 corners of the floor saver here. That's the spot that's going to be under the awning, so that's going to be the front of our tent. The other reason being that the eyelets in the middle, which are roughly where our tent is going to finish, and then across the front under the awning we've got 3 eyelets, 2 in the corners, 1 in the middle, and then in the center, or roughly in the center of the sides, there's a couple of other eyelets as well. But then at the rear of the tent we've just got a couple of eyelets in the corners, not in the middle, because it's the tent that's going to keep the floor saver in place there. I'm going to grab the RV5 and set it up on top now. But just to save shuffling your tent up once it's set up, which is harder to move, when you begin to set it up, move it right to the back of the floor saver here. Use this as your guide. Where this triangle points is going to be your front door. That way when you set it up, it's pretty much sitting almost right in place. You might be wondering if you have to use the same eyelets in the ground sheet as you do for the tent. The answer is no. I have lined them up, the same peg and the same eyelet at the rear. These ones don't line up exactly with the eyelet on the tent, so I would just peg them out separately. Don't worry about trying to line it all up. So now that I've pegged that out at the front there, I can pull the tent forward tightly, pull this forward tightly, and peg out the front of our ground sheet. So that's my floor saver all pegged out. I've just put a couple of pegs in the corners here. I can put extras in if I like to stop it flapping around. But you can see now that the back of the floor saver lines up nicely with the edges of the tent. And this area out the front here covers 2 meters out from the tent, which is exactly the length of the awning, which I'll set up shortly when it comes out in a flat manner. The last thing I mentioned about the mesh floor savers is that on the corners here where these awning poles do sit, it's double reinforced on top of this Oztent logo. So if you're worried about wearing a hole in your mesh floor saver, you don't need to worry about it because it is reinforced there. That's pretty much all there is to the mesh floor saver. A nice simple product that extends the life of your tent and gives you a nice covered living area under your awning. You can pick them up off our website at lowest prices every day, and we'll deliver just about anywhere in Australia for free. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.